To do the Kimura, I want his hand flat on the mat, exactly where it is. Most people probably aren't going to just leave their hand there. Craig's most likely going to be controlling my hip, exactly, and either my elbow, the bottom of my knee, my shoulder, whatever. He's going to be controlling something. If his hand is on the mat, great, he's just giving it to us. But if he's doing something with this hand that isn't placing it on the mat, I'm just going to bump him until he puts it on the mat. That's all I want. Wherever his hand was before, doesn't matter. I'm going to take my hand that's on his bicep, follow his arm down, and grab onto his wrist. Now, when we go for this Kimura, you really want to dive on the arm. I don't want to sit up slowly because that takes a lot of time, and it's pretty obvious what I'm going for. So as soon as you grab onto his wrist, if you have the knee shield, you can also use that to kick through and sit up. And when I do that, I dive on his arm. I have my chest down on top of his shoulder and his arm, and I'm also using my hand to push his hand down into the mat, whereas if his hand is floating, he has a lot of movement, but if he posts it on the mat, try to move your arm, Craig, it's kind of stuck. Now I come up over the top and I grab onto my wrist. Instead of just laying back flat, which works, there's nothing wrong with doing that, a better thing to do is to shoot your hips into him as you bring your back flat to the mat. What that's gonna do is really drive his weight forward. Right. You might be able to, so for now, we're gonna say he doesn't grab onto anything. You might be able to finish it from here, just dragging his arm behind his back. But if you feel like you don't have the space and he's fighting you, shoot your hips into him and then walk your shoulders on the mat. Shoot your hips in and walk your shoulders. Now my angle's completely changed, where it's a lot easier to just drag his arm behind his back. And we finish that Kimura. We're starting in our half guard. Whether it's traditional or Z guard, either one, you can do both. I prefer to do it from the Z guard because, like I said before, it gives you more space between you and your opponent, and it's also a lot easier when you shoot this knee shield through to dive on the arm. If he's controlling here, that's fine. I'm gonna bump him until his hand goes to the mat, follow his wrist down, follow his arm down, and grab onto his wrist. I'm gonna kick my knee shield through as I dive on the arm, like this. I'm putting a lot of pressure into the top of his shoulder, and I'm using my hand to push his hand into the mat so he can't move it. I come up over the top, and I grab my wrist. I shoot my hips into him as I drive my back to the mat. Before he's able to grab onto his belt or anything, I'm gonna drive his arm behind his back to finish. If you end up a little bit far away and I'm trying to finish it and I don't have the angle and Craig's fighting me, I'm gonna shoot my hips into him, walk my shoulders on the mat as many times as I have to. Now I've got that angle where I can very easily drag his arm behind his head. Questions on that? All right, on three, 1, 2.